He claimed to be Maryam alayhi salam. Yes, he claimed to be Maryam. This is true. He claimed that metaphorically he was pregnant for 10 months in the spirit of Mary and gave birth metaphorically to Jesus. These are his writings. Now, I didn't know anything about this. When I was Qadiani, I didn't know I was a Qadiani. I thought I was an Ahmadi Muslim, whatever that means. Now I realize you can be Ahmadi or Muslim, but you can't be both at the same time. Right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to very quickly touch upon some modern subjects as well. I think this is very important. Qadianis are quite active through MTA, their satellite channel, and they're quite active in a very quiet way through many groups around the country. Well, what you won't find them doing is become very active in discussion with Muslims. Why? Because Muslims represent the biggest threat to Qadianis. It's like oil and water. You can't get Qadianis and Muslims to mix. Very, very hard. You can't. For example, if you were to have a debate right now, any leading Qadiani debater up with any leading Muslim debater, and that was televised live around the world, Qadianism would lose half of its membership overnight. That's why they don't debate. This is very important to bear in mind. But some of the modern subjects I want to touch upon. What makes them different from us? You know, they claim to be Muslims, but they are not. Here's why. They have a center in Kababir, in occupied Palestine. Did you know this? Yeah. They have a center there. They have almost 1,000 people who live there under the protection of the Zionist regime. Did anybody know this? No. They broadcast from there. They broadcast. Who's paying for the satellite that broadcasts from there? They are free to travel across occupied Palestine. I refuse to call it Israel, by the way. They have freedom to move about, whereas our Palestinian Muslim brothers and sisters do not have this freedom. Interestingly, last Ramadan, they invited Shimon Peres, war criminal, to their iftar dinner. And they received him as an honored guest. You want to go on YouTube, check it out? They received Shimon Peres, a war criminal, a murderer of Muslims, as an honored guest to their iftar dinner. Is this a love for all, hatred for none? Or do they mean love for the enemies of Islam and hatred for Muslims? These empty slogans mean very, very little. Another example. Some of you might be aware that recently, unfortunately, a BNP politician was elected as a councillor, European Parliament, in Sheffield. Does anyone know about this? Yeah. Who knows that the Qadiani Centre in Sheffield wrote a letter of congratulations to the BNP for this election? How many of you are aware of this? This is stunning. Stunning. So their defense is, oh, but the Prophet ﷺ also wrote to his enemies. But he didn't offer them congratulations for the, for the hatred of Muslims. This he would never do. To be civil is fine. But to offer congratulations to the victory of a party who only 1 week before, on television, their leader was saying that Islam is a cancer, and they offer these people congratulations? Well, it tells you where they're coming from. So, let's be very clear. The Qadiani's interests are not the Muslims' interests. Now, how to treat them? I myself was Qadiani. If somebody had come up to me 5 or 6 years ago and said, "You're Qadiani this, your prophet died in the toilet, blah blah this, blah blah this," do you think I would have accepted Islam? No, I would not. I said, what is he talking about? I'd be intrigued when they said your prophet died in the toilet. I'd want to look that up, because that's quite a thing to say. I mean, it's not a very good thing to say as an opener, but nonetheless it's shocking enough that it warrants investigation. So you start to ask questions, and you start to ask further questions. But I think it's very important. Earlier on we were saying that we should not be mistaken and show some love for these people. Well, we should love all human beings, shouldn't we? Maybe? I don't know. We should certainly be civil to everybody. I would be very upset if somebody went to a member of my family and started to shout at them and say, you're kafir this, you're kafir that. That we shouldn't do. But we should be under no illusion. Their belief is kufr, but they don't know it. So we have to gently open them up to the beauty of Islam. And that takes some doing. There's an old saying that you cannot give truth, all of the truth to somebody, all in one go. It's too upsetting, they can't handle it. So you drip feed them truth, bit by bit by bit by bit. Dawah takes a long time. Who knows Abu Amina Bilal Phillips? Anyone heard of him? Who knows the story of Dawah to his parents? Took him 17 years doing Dawah to his parents before they accepted Islam. Might even have been 23, I don't remember the exact number. But it can take that long. And is it worth it? Yes, just to save one soul? Of course it's worth it. Because that one soul might be the person who helps other souls also back. Of course we know our job is just to convey the message, and that in reality it is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who gives hidayah. Now I'm going to pull out some quotes. Hope you don't mind. I'm going to open my laptop here. Prepare to be shocked. Everybody here understands the concept of Tawheed, of course. I learnt it from you people. I didn't even know what Tawheed meant until I became Muslim. But I'm going to pull up some of his quotes so that you understand some of the blasphemy that most Qadianis aren't aware of. So these are quotes that I've taken from Tazkirah, which you can download from the Qadiani's website and see the quotes for yourself. He says, Mirza Ghulam Ahmad, he says about, these are his prophecies apparently from God. Apparently this is God speaking to Mirza Ghulam Ahmad and saying, you are to me like my unity and uniqueness. So Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is claiming that God has said that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad is like his Tawheed. You are to me like my throne. You are to me like my son. Allah has preferred you over everything. What? Over Rahmatul Alameen? Over Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam? What was he thinking? Many thrones have descended from heaven, but your throne has been placed above all others. Oh my Ahmad, you are my purpose. Let's get this straight. The man's name was not Ahmad. His name was Ghulam Ahmad. Ghulam Ahmad. Any Qadiani who ever says to you that my prophet's name was Ahmad, no. His name was Ghulam Ahmad. Therefore you are not Ahmadi, you are Ghulam Ahmadi. You are to me in the status of my progeny. I mean this is obscene, not because he has claimed that he is in the status, but that God would claim that he would have progeny. Which God would claim that he has progeny? You are from me, and I am from you. I didn't know this. Trust me, if I'd known this before I was 38, I would have left them sooner. So we have to raise the awareness. We have to tell them, these are the things. But a bit at a time, brothers and sisters. Don't give them all of this at once. It will shock them. They might have a heart attack. Okay? In a vision, I saw myself as God and believed myself to be as such. Now, you're all Muslim brothers and sisters here. If you had a dream or a vision and you believed you were God, what would you say? What would you say? Several things, but you would not publish it in a book and say this is true, would you? Right? It's crazy. You would know that this was a dream from who? Exactly. All Muslims know that any vision or dream like this is from Satan. Correct? So why didn't he write, this is from Satan? And finally, and most shockingly, I saw God Almighty personified as a human being.